How's Allen doing with the foot injury? Is he still getting better? Or?
Yeah, I think he's improving. Actually practiced all week this week, which is really good for him. That's the first time in probably about 4 weeks that we've had him out for practice in terms of Tuesday and Wednesday practice. So I think there's improvement for sure. He's getting better. It's just one of those injuries that takes time and kind of tells you his grit and toughness because he really hasn't missed a beat on game day. But it's been nice to have him back at practice.
About Wagner and McMillan?
Yeah, I think JD's situation is probably doubtful for this week. McMillan's in a situation that's probably doubtful as well. We'll just have to see if those two would get better by the time we practice again tomorrow to see where they're capable of playing.
What are their injuries?
That's it right now.
Okay.
Those are the guys that from the game standpoint, we're again, it's kind of that time of year, and it'll be really interesting to see where we're at and how we are as the season continues. But we're fortunate going into this part of the season.
You mentioned on the call-in show you might apply for something with Patrick Scoggins. What do you feel like the chances are there since he's redshirted and had another year off, and what would that do for next year's team?
Well, I just think it would, we all know how important consistency is and playing experience, and that would be, I think, really big for him, and I think it certainly would be a huge help for us. Now, are we counting on it? No, but is it certainly a possibility, and we apply for it and just kind of see what happens. But I think there's enough from, both his redshirt year where he was injured and then the other year where he did not play due to injury that will at least give us a fighting chance.
Have you had that conversation with him yet, looking ahead to the future? Is that something he's interested in?
Well, he's the guy that kind of brought it to our attention, which was refreshing, number one, and number two, I think we all are like, well, this is news to us and kind of really excited about it. So again, we'll help him any way we can to see if that's something that is real and sticks, but something that he certainly brought to us and would love to have him around for another year.
What have you seen in practice this week that maybe would encourage you that the run defense will take a step forward?
Well, again, I think the biggest thing for us is continuing to find ways to funnel the football and tackle the football. You talk about run defense. For us, it'd be one thing if we didn't have guys there, and it's just huge lanes. But that's kind of not the situation. It's situations where we got to tackle better and we got to continue to get guys there. I think we've done a really good job of putting bodies on bodies and spilling the ball to the right people. And that's one thing when it's schematic. It's another thing when it's ability to get the job done. And so we just got to keep practicing and keep repping. We got to keep getting better. That's a challenge for us.
Have you seen those paddles that all the fans have there at the stadium?
I have witnessed that a little bit, so I know the game day environment down there is pretty good, and certainly the noise will be a factor within the football game.
You were at practice, but the NCAA proposed new rules for recruiting signing periods in late June and December. What are your thoughts on that, and if it would help or be bad? Or
yeah, I think I go both ways. The reality of it is I think until they get all of us football coaches in one place where we can sit down and really talk about this, because I think there's so much you can put all this stuff out, but I think the reality of what's best for kids, what's best for coaches. You talk early signing period. Well, then what happens with the recruiting calendar, and how does that affect things? And what do you do with official visits early? And I think there's a lot to it that everybody thinks is a good idea when it's put out there. But then you say, well, here's what could happen. Here's what the ramifications if you go to this model are. So, I think there's a lot out there. We gotta. I look forward to looking at the literature and seeing what they put out. So I don't know enough about it, but I look forward to reading about it and seeing if that's something that would be beneficial to all.
would you like they also propose a 10th assistant coach. Would that be beneficial?
Yeah, and again, more people helping, sure, that's great. But once, again, when do we get to the point there too, as well, where enough's enough? And I guess I'm the Division III guy where there were 4 of us coaching 300 guys. You know what I'm saying? So all that stuff's good. It's good for our profession, absolutely, to have another full-time coach at the Division I level. But, there's a lot of coaches all over the place. Sometimes I don't even know what they do. So, I think maybe that's why our staff's so small. But, it is what it is. So we'll see.
What kind of difference have you seen in Mike the last few weeks? You talked about him playing a little bit better. The line has more continuity, but what kind of difference maybe have you seen from him in that time?
Yeah, I think Mike's running with a purpose. You know, he's playing with a purpose, and again, that goes back to kind of what I said before the season starts. You know, Mike's going to be a focal point, and all of a sudden now Mike's a guy that's got to shoulder the load in a lot of ways, and especially got 2 freshman running backs, guys that really haven't had a ton of playing experience. And I think what I've seen is Michael's process continue to get better and better and better each week in terms of practicing and detail and focus. And you know, I think what that's allowed him is when the game gets tough, he's been able to lean on those fundamentals in detail, and he's played with a lot of confidence. And it's great to see. It's fun to see because I think he's playing at a really high rate.
How much credit does the offensive line kind of improve and get there? Is that kind of hard to differentiate?
I think a little bit of everything. When we're playing at our best, we're balanced, and balance means we're not just lining up and running the ball 100 times in a game. We're throwing and catching the football, which certainly forces people to play some pass defense. And I think when you're fluid offensively, you try to take what the defense gives us. And I'd say the last 2 weeks we've efficiently done that. We've efficiently had the ability to take what the defense has given us and execute. Again, that's a challenge for us, and we got to continue to work really hard to be good at it. But I think that's helped Michael in a lot of ways because when we've had the ability to take what the defense has given us, we've been able to take it.
Seemed like Sam Harms played a lot of snaps. Was that specific to Baylor? Or are you guys trying to use that H-back tight end to block more?
Sam has kind of been the guy that, I'll be honest with you, if there's a really great story coming out of fall camp, or here's a kid that walked on, came to us from in-state, really from Iowa Western, and now has come in and had a huge role, and it's Sam. I mean, Sam's a guy that's competing and pushing to be the starting tight end here, and has played really, really well. He's tough, he's physical, he plays really, really hard, and I'm really proud of Sam Harms. Thank goodness we got him because he's been a huge difference maker for us, and I think he has really helped our running game at times over the last 2 weeks. His blocking and his ability to create running lanes for us has been a huge help.
Going back to Allen, what % would you say he's at, like health-wise, or has been past year?
Yeah, that's hard. I think has he been 100%? No. I don't think he's been that, but I think he's worked hard to get himself to as close to 100% as he could be on game day. But I've always said this: it's really hard to be an elite, playing to the best of your ability when you're not practicing, and that's not because Allen won't practice; it's because he can't. And so, that's tough. And again, there's a lot of credit to him because he's played well on Saturday, yet not had some of those important reps and timing with Joel and Jacob that you get from practice. So I think a lot that we can gain from Allen back on the practice field.
As for this weekend against Oklahoma State, I mean, veteran quarterback like Mason Rudolph, I guess, how do you guys prepare for him, especially in the passing game where he's so proficient at?
Yeah, again, it's kind of like I feel like I'm on repeat for the last 5 weeks. We've played good quarterbacks and people that spread you out and force you to defend the running game. And you gotta pick your battles. This Mason's a tremendous talent. It's fun to watch him throw the ball around, and he's been in the system, so you see confidence in what he's doing and how to execute. I think they put a lot on his shoulders to get them into the right play or put the ball into the right situation. So you're not just playing against an offensive coordinator or a head coach. You're playing against him a little bit, and that's certainly a veteran quarterback. You see it. So it's a good challenge for us. We got to be able to vary what we do and how we do it, and we got to be able to put some pressure on them too at times. And again, that's where that front seven. When we've played well on defense, our front has been able to be a factor in the football game, and we got to find ways to do that.